councillors who may have forgotten and members of the public who will not have been aware probably, that this meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast on the Town Council YouTube channel, I believe.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Perfect. As we've got members of the public present, I just asked if we can all go around and introduce ourselves. So I'm Councillor Matt Cowley. I'm the Vice Chair, but I'm chairing this evening in the absence of Councillor Farmer.
Okay, my name's Heather Scott and I'm the officer from the Town Council that clerks one of the planning meetings.
Who's next?
You can introduce yourself, Mim.
Okay, I'm Mim Allam. I'm also one of the planning officers and do the one of the 3 weekly planning meetings. Okay, so Councillor Turnbull. Oh,
You need to unmute him, yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to. Is it unmuted? No.
No, still on mute.
No.
There we go.
Oh, hang on, have I done him again?
I think he's back on mute.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, Councillor Turnbull.
I'm Councillor Nigel Turnbull, one of the councillors for the West Ward.
Okay. Councillor Drake. Again. We've not done it yet. No, it's not. Sorry. No.
We're in. Hi. John Drake, I'm Town Councillor for the South Ward.
Okay, Councillor. Oh, Councillor Liver.
Hi, I'm Councillor Pitliver. I'm councillor for East Ward.
Councillor Cousin.
Hi, I'm Paul Cousin, Town and District Councillor for Harpenden North.
Okay, and Councillor DeCourt. We can unmute you. You don't seem to be able to.
I think it struggles, Mim, when there's quite so many people.
There we go.
I'm now on, I think.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Councillor Paul DeCourt. I'm from the East Ward also. I've been sitting on this planning committee since elected in May 2019.
Okay.
Perfect. So back to the housekeeping. So this committee is a statutory planning consultee and isn't the planning authority. So any decisions tonight are taken as advice by the district council, but it's the district council that ultimately make the final decision on planning matters. Items where a member of the public is present will be taken first, and you're of course welcome to stay longer than the item in which you're interested, but you're also welcome to leave us after that particular item. So on to the agenda. Apologies for absence. Have we had any apologies for absence, Mim?
Yes, we have one apology for absence, which is Councillor Rosemary Farmer. She has a prior engagement at the District Council this evening.
Perfect. Are we minded to accept that, councillors?
That's unanimous.
Yeah, okay, brilliant.
Any declarations of interest from any councillors?
Oh, Councillor DeCourt.
There's an item coming up later, 27 Connaught Road. I've no financial interest. It is on my road, about 70 yards down the road. I just want to declare really for the audience more generally. I don't know the owners of 29 Connaught Road. Neither do I know those of 35 Cornwall Road who have registered an objection.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else want to declare an interest? No, I can't see anyone. In which case, I'll move on to the minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee held on the 2nd of June 2020. Are councillors happy to take those as a record of that meeting?
That's unanimous.
Perfect. Have we received any public questions in accordance with Standing Orders 22 and 23?
No, none have been received this time.
Perfect. Any letters of objection?
No, none have been received. No, not to the Town Council.
Perfect. In that case, I'll move on to the meat of the meeting, which are the applications registered in the weeks ending 29th of May, 5th of June and the 12th of June. So we'll start with the application on page, if I can find it. Give me 2 seconds. Page 15, at the top of page 15, application 5/2020 1164, 33 Cold Harbour Lane, which I believe is the application that the members of the public wish to speak on. And so I'll now hand over to them to speak for, I think, is it 3 minutes, Heather?
Yes, so for this particular item, I have actually put together a slide which has got the actual application drawings on, which Mim will be able to share on the screen with us in just due course, in addition to the street view and the aerial view of the site as well, which we can share on the screen, whilst the applicant is wanting to share with us his viewpoints.
Perfect. So in that case, I will invite the applicant to say their piece.
Perfect. Thanks so much, guys. Just to confirm, can you all hear us okay?
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear, yeah.
Brilliant. So hi, everyone. My name's Tom. This is my partner, Jen. First of all, wanted to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to talk. Hope everyone is doing well with all the kind of COVID-19 craziness going on. As you all know, we're here to talk a little bit about our planning application, and that is for a 2-story extension to our cottage on Cold Harbour Lane. And I think you've got the code there. It's 5/2020 1164. I don't think we're going to take the whole 3 minutes up. We just wanted to clarify a few points. So there's 2 main things we wanted to quickly raise relating to some of the comments noted by the planning officer. So the first relates to the number of existing and proposed bedrooms in the property. So we just wanted to quickly clarify that the property currently has 2 bedrooms, which we will be extending to a 3rd bedroom plus study. Now, I appreciate the plans don't currently show that. I'll come to that in a little bit. The second item we wanted to clarify was the provision for parking. So we've confirmed with our architect that there will be provision for at least 2 parking spots. So we're happy to report that both of these points, so the parking point and the proposed floor plan, have been clarified with our architects, and the revised drawings have been accepted by St Albans Council. So hopefully we'll see those updates on the website soon if they're not already there. Lastly, we just wanted to share our intention for the build itself. Given the size of the property's garden and plot, we don't think that the extension should necessarily be considered an overdevelopment. We will, of course, aim to build as considerately as possible, sympathetic to the existing design and to similar extensions in our proximity, of which there are quite a number. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk. Happy to answer any questions or to clarify any points. Please just shout.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming on. Mim, if we will go to officer observations now on that one, on this one, if that's okay.
Okay, so right, just bear with me just a second. Let me just move the page. Right. Okay, so the observations that I put on here, obviously the applicant has, in a sense, kind of corrected some of the inaccuracies that are clearly on the drawings that were provided, and obviously is what I've based my observations on. Min, would you be able to share actually the street view as well that's on the photos?
Hang on just a second. I've lost it.
On the PowerPoint presentation.
Right, hold on a second because I've actually clicked off it now. I'm going to have
You should just be able to just do share view, and it should come up with whatever you've got already open on your computer.
Yep, I think I've clicked off it. I've only got the actual street views of everything else. So I'm going to have
the first one in the list on the photos.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah, 33 Cold Harbour Lane. It's the first one in the list.
Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, sorry, now I'm struggling.
Nobody see that?
Yeah, hang on a minute. Didn't quite what happened there. It seemed to take over. Anyway, so my observations are that it appears to be a relatively small fronted property in the line of the period cottages. I'm proposing to build to the side with the equivalent property footprint again at the ground floor level and larger again at first floor level. Obviously, I'll put here that it's currently 1 bedroom and a study, which is what the drawings were detailing, but have been obviously corrected just a moment or so ago, and that they will be moving to 4 bedrooms and a bathroom, which is what the drawings were depicting. Just my observations are really that it feels that there was an awful lot going on for the space available and the size of the existing property, and also for the size of the other properties in the row as well. Obviously, I'll put here down that it was extremely under provision for the parking space, with only 1 space retained, but that has obviously been changed in recent times. There are other observations which are standard things of that there's no tree works, and the fact that I'm recommending refusal due to the overdevelopment of the site and the insufficient parking provision. And then I've referenced the Hartman's Neighbourhood Plan and the district local plan policies in relation to those.
Okay. Any comments from councillors?
May I pass a comment, Chairman?
Yes, absolutely, Nigel.
May I ask a question of the owners? I assume the development has taken care of the 45% line one's got to draw from any adjoining properties vis-a-vis the height of the development at the back garden.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. So we work with our architects to ensure that there was no loss of light to our neighbouring properties. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, Paul put something in the chat about suspending standing orders. Yeah, no, that's a point. Did we need to suspend standing orders to be able to ask questions, Heather?
No, that's fine. No, not at all. No, sort of at planning, if the committee are wanting to have clarification in relation to particular something, that's fine, as long as the questions are driven from the committee and are not directed from the public, as it were, to the committee.
Okay, perfect. Any other councillors want to say something? John, I can see a hand in your direction.
Yeah, 2 points. Firstly, down the line, I think it is number 31, Cold Harbour Lane. There's a quite big tree on the adjoining fence. I wondered if the building would have any impact on that particular tree. And secondly, just a question of clarification on policy. Is the fact that the study could be converted into a bedroom relevant to the car parking provision?
So I think the tree question was directed to the property owner, was it, John?
Probably, yeah.
Yes. So if we could, would you be able to clarify that for us?
So I think there's a tree at the front of the driveway, basically on the corner. Is that the one?
I think you're probably referring to the conifers next door, which are beautifully manicured. Yeah. So when we moved in, they were kind of overhanging, and we've pared them right back. And we plan to keep them. We talk to our neighbours regularly. And what we need to do is just make sure we go down deep enough in the foundations to have that clearance. But along that way, there is a walkway that will be kind of well cleared, so full access from the front to the back. Yes, we would plan to keep those and just work. Yeah. And then to your second point,
It might be one for the councillors.
Yeah, and I think that was one for Heather.
Yeah, so strictly in terms of sort of kind of parking provision, John, it should be taken as to the description as to what the drawings are actually describing. Sometimes it's kind of what you can also take into account is the size of the particular room. I mean, we've had in the past where things have been referred to as a games room or as a study. And you can sort of kind of slightly take that as being their way round having to achieve the number of parking spaces that are strictly required, irrespective of really what the long-term plan is. Just because of the current applicant or the current occupiers are choosing to use it as a study or a games room, future occupants could potentially use it as a bedroom. So it has to be viewed in those sorts of kind of scenarios, really.
Perfect. Any other comments from councillors? My screen appears to have frozen, so has anyone got their hand raised, Heather?
No, not that I can see, no.
Okay, perfect. In that case, could I get a view from councillors? Are we minded towards refusal? Anyone minded towards refusal? Could you sort of raise your hands now? I can't see any hands. In that case, I'll move on to anyone minded towards express concern?
Okay, Paul has raised his hand.
Paul has raised his hand. Is everyone else minded towards no objection?
That's 4.
Okay, so I think no objection. Is it no objection sort of just a standard no objection, or are you wanting to put any provisos on there of subject to sufficient parking provision or no loss of amenity? I mean, is there any caveats that you wanting to include for me to include, or just purely go with a no objection?
So I personally would be minded towards a caveat on the parking provision. Would councillors agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the majority again, isn't it?
Unanimous, yeah.
Perfect. So,
Paul de Court was wanting to speak again.
Oh, right.
oh, Paul, yes.
Hang on. There you go.
This is again another point of clarification, but is it our role to say subject to the plans that are lodged with the district councillor, seeing them reflecting what we've heard?
Yes.
We put that in.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, perfect.
So we can use the wording of that subject to amended drawings being submitted and being the drawings that are actually that the determination is gauged against. Yep. Okay.
Do we need to take a vote on that one, Heather, or is that something we can put in?
No, that's fine. I think, you know, that by the looks of things, the majority was with no objection. Obviously, there's those two sort of small caveats, which is, you know, not rare, is it, for me to include those sorts of things? So, no, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, perfect. In that case, I'll move on to what would have been the first item on this agenda item on page 11.
Councillor
Sorry.
Cowley, can I just address the applicants there? So just to let you know that the minutes of tonight's meeting will be composed, and then they will be approved by Councillor Cowley as chairman as being a true and accurate record. Once they've been approved, they will then be shared with the District Council with our recommendations that will then form part of your officer's report. you are welcome once they've in a sense gone sort of been approved and they've gone live. They'll go onto our website, so you're more than welcome to take a little look there. Normally, I've got your email address, haven't I? So I can actually email you. I'll email you with the what the recommendations to the St Albans Planning Office will be. Okay,
Brilliant.
is that
Thank
all
you
right?
very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Yes.
Okay. Right, sorry, Councillor Cowley, I just wanted to sort of kind of just close off, as it were.
Yes, no worries. Perfect. In that case, I'll move on to 5/2020-1069, 55A Granby Avenue. Officer observations, Heather.
Yeah, okay. So just bear me a second. Let me just get myself back up to the beginning of the agenda. Okay, here we go. So number 55A Granby Avenue. This is a site that already has planning permission for a very similar proposal. This proposal is a reduction on the approved scheme at the first floor level to ensure that it adheres to the Rights to Light Prescription Act for number 55 Granby Avenue. The front elevation now presents with a cut back steep sloping roof and appears to be less bulky. All other elements of the approval remain unchanged, so I have put consider no objection.
Perfect. Would any councillors like to comment on this one? So I just wanted to, I can't see anyone with hand raised. I saw an objection from the neighbour number 55, that they wanted to make sure that the conditions that had been put on the previous acceptance were retained. So I wondered whether we might be minded to do a no objection subject to those conditions having been returned. Would councillors be minded towards that recommendation?
Unanimous.
Perfect.
Oh,
Sorry, did someone wish to speak?
May I ask a question of clarification? What it says, adhere to the Right of Lights Prescription Act for number 55, etc. Does that mean we've given planning permission for a building that did not meet the Lights Prescription Act?
Let me just have a little very quick read.
Is it up to the planning authority to consider that, or is that more of a legal issue that comes entirely separately vis-a-vis the rights of the landowners?
I'm not sure actually whether or not this is something which has actually changed since the permission was granted for the other or for the previous application. I'll just quote for you from the design and access statements. It says in 2019, a scheme to enlarge the site address was granted planning permission, and then it quotes the reference. However, due to the Rights of Light Prescription Act, we had to reduce the size of the dwelling along the side with number 55. Principally, the amended design is very similar to that originally approved and has been stepped in significantly at first floor level. The amended design now meets the necessary requirements to mitigate light injury to neighbouring properties and has been tested for both 55 and 57 Granby Avenue. So all I can assume is that since the permission was granted in probably sort of the latter end of last year, that this Rights to Light Prescription Act has been enforced. So I think because of it's a development that's being built at the moment, they probably have to comply with that, whereas previously they didn't.
What year did that legislation come into force? Any idea?
I have no idea, but the permission was granted in 2019.
Don't worry. I'm keen to. I'll look at that myself actually, because my reaction is that's something that is totally out with the planning legislation. It's up to the landowners to sort that out. But I will. Whatever I find, I'll come back and report as a matter of interest. Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Nigel. In that case, we did the vote on that, didn't we?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. In that case, I'll move on to 5/2020-0854 4 Salisbury Road. Officer observations, Heather.
Okay, so 4 Salisbury Road. I don't know, Mim, are you able to share on the screen the property at number 4 Salisbury Road?
yes.
Brilliant. Okay, just need to go up. That's it. Yeah. Right, so they are extending at ground floor level to the rear of the garage. They're filling in the gap, basically. So building above the extension to create a more living space, but there are no extra bedrooms, creating a games room in the roof. Visually, the frontage is much more substantial than the other properties in the road. The footprint doesn't extend any further back than neighbours to number 6 Salisbury Road, and only at single storey to number 2 Salisbury Road. Doesn't appear to cause any impact. Raised decking already exists on the site, no tree work, and 2 parking spaces are retained. Consider no objection.
Okay, perfect. Any comments, councillors, on this one? I can't see any hands. Again, there was an objection on this one on the St Albans website for number 2. About a possible loss of amenity from overlooking, and they were slightly concerned about the light. So again, I wondered whether it was worth a caveat in the no objection subject to no loss of amenity for neighbouring properties. Would everyone be inclined to go with that?
It's unanimous.
Perfect. In that case, I'll move on to 5/2020-1049, 60 Talents Crescent. It doesn't meet criteria for consideration. 5/2020-1138, 27 Connaught Road, which I think we've had a couple of times since May last year. Officer observations, Heather.
Yes, so yeah, you're right, Councillor Cowley. We've had a number of proposals for this particular site. Some of them have actually included number 25 in addition to 27, but permission was granted at the latter end of last year for extensions to the existing property, which is basically a bungalow at the moment. So they were wanting to make it into to a standard looking house. So this particular application is that this particular scheme is seeking to extend the kitchen rearwards at an angle along the boundary with number 1 Elliswick Road. So it pretty much, you know, the footprint and the layout of the application that was approved doesn't change. It's just that they are looking to extend the kitchen out at this sort of kind of at an angle along the boundary line with number 1 Elliswick Road. They are looking to have small extension to the first floor to achieve another bedroom, but by achieving that, they are actually making one of the other bedrooms slightly smaller to, in a sense, not create too much bulk in the extension. So generally, the footprint in the proposal doesn't differ from the approved scheme. Ample parking and the shrubs and the conifer to be removed to facilitate the rearward single-storey extension. Consider no objection.
Was there any tree replacement on the conifer?
Not that I could see, but generally for something along those sorts of kind of lines, it's not normally classed as a true tree. It sort of forms, from what I can see, it forms the line of the shrubs along the boundary line. But it's just that because of it, the species changed, the application has depicted it as a conifer.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. There was an objection again on this one from number 35 Cornwall, which I think is the rear property. So just for councillors to be aware of, there was they were concerned about loss of amenity, about light and overlooking, similar to the previous one. Do councillors have any comments on this property? Paul, to court.
Yeah, just before I actually found the 35 Cornwall Road comment, I was just very intrigued by the history, because you'll see a history of refusals with overdevelopment. And you're right, we've discussed this in this planning group. And then we accepted, I think it was in January, a much smaller development, which they referred to. And then when I looked at, and it occurred to me before I looked at Cornwall Road, this is interesting. You've had a couple of goes at putting something in. You've been knocked back. You put something in that's on a smaller scale and has met various objections, including objections from the 35 Cornwall Road. And now within a few months, you suddenly built a thing and you're back changing it again. And the changes are reasonably significant. And then I looked at Cornwall Road's objection, and they make exactly the same point. They objected to the first few proposals in the history. They did not object to the one that we approved and didn't object to in January, and they're back objecting again. And they're objecting because of what they see as being significant redesign, with the bedrooms no longer being dormer bedrooms and being two big windows overlooking their master bedroom. It's an unusual layout because the Cornwall Road property is at 90 degrees. It's not back to back. It's not back garden to back garden. It's at 90 degrees. And they refer to increases in height that weren't in the proposal that was accepted. And they said they didn't object to the one, but they're now coming back to object. And obviously there's some factual things to check, but in principle, I've got quite a lot of sympathy with them, because I mean, it's a long time ago, people remember the golden shot. It's like a bit like right a bit, left a bit, you know, and they keep on firing to try and, as the developer, to try and achieve obviously the maximum value for their property that they can get past a planning committee. So I'm quite uncomfortable about it, to be honest.
Would you be minded more towards refusal or express concern, Paul?
I would be, at the moment, a refusal. I'd have to be persuaded otherwise, but yeah, I'd be minded for refusal.
Do any other councillors have comments on this property? Councillor Turnbull. I think you're still on mute, Nigel. There we go.
Oh, sorry.
Am I unmuted?
You are.
Yes.
We can hear you.
It keeps going off and on. Chairman, I'm minded to refuse, to be honest, without knowing a lot more about it, having a lot more detailed analysis. My reaction is, having got permission, they're now trying to push the envelope almost back to where they started, up to a point.
I think then councillors seem minded towards recommend refusal. I think I'd be right in saying that based on the fact that we consider it an overdevelopment and of the loss of amenity to neighbouring properties. Would everyone be inclined towards that recommendation? We can all vote on that one.
It's unanimous.
Okay, perfect. In that case, I think that's the recommendation.
Fine, yeah.
Perfect. In that case, we'll move on to the next one, which is 5/2020 1016, 19 Tufnells Way. Application does not meet the criteria for consideration by the committee. 5/2020 1035, 12 Bloomfield Road. Heather, officer observations. Sorry.
Okay, so 12 Bloomfield Road, this has actually had outline planning permission already granted in 2017 for a similar scheme, but obviously an outline planning permission doesn't actually give the full detail as to sort of kind of what they're realistically design-wise looking to achieve. The footprint on this proposal does extend further back at the ground floor level than what was approved back in 2017. But the height does appear to be the same. There are 2 parking spaces per plot, but each plot has 4 bedrooms. There's no tree work proposed. There's a 1 metre gap along the boundary to the neighbours being retained. The 45-degree angle zones have been adhered to, appears to be in keeping with number 14 Bloomfield Road, and proposed development on the site of Reed Place. Which is actually, I did share some images actually with Councillor Turnbull earlier today in relation to this, that what you can see in the Zoom pictures, the Google pictures that Mim's just sharing with you on the screen at the moment, is that we've got an empty space to the right hand side of the property, but there is essentially permission has been granted for a block of flats to be put in this particular sort of spot. So this proposal at number 12 Bloomfield Road is essentially going to be in line with the height of those particular new developments. So I say consider that the committee have no objection in principle, however express concern that there is insufficient parking provision provided for the basically for the number of bedrooms that are being proposed on the site.
Any comments from councillors? Councillor Cousin.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a question, actually. The previous picture that you showed us, they look to be a period detached house on the left, and then a smaller, less attractive house, arguably less attractive, on the right. Is it the house on the right that is going to be demolished?
So it's the house which is. Mim, are you able to just share those on the screen again?
So it's the one on the right, is it there with the
on the left? The one that's far on the left, that's being retained. So that's number 14,
yeah.
Road, and then it's the one with the green garage that they are looking to demolish and replace. And then Mim, if you can just go on to a picture again to show the property that's going to be demolished, but also I think there should be is there not a picture before that, Mim? For 12 Bloomfield. That's it, yeah. So you can see there's the property to the left with the silver car. That's the one that's to be demolished. And then we've got quite a substantial gap there behind the hoarding, which is where part of Reed Place was demolished. And we have got planning permission was granted a couple of years ago for a replacement of a block of flats on that site there. And what they're proposing to put in at number 12 Bloomfield Road will be in keeping in terms of height and scale with what is to be proposed on the right in the block of flats.
Okay, I see. I mean, my comment was going to be, but some ways if there's a block of flats next to it, that because Bloomfield Road is quite a steep road, my image of it is that as you go down, you get a uniform step down in the roof height, and it just occurred to me: is it going to look a bit odd if this one was, say, the same height or a bit higher than the one on the left? But it's just an observation. It's not a strong feeling.
Councillor Turnbull.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Looking at the front elevation of the proposal, my reaction is it just looks all out of kilter. It looks far too high and narrow. It's got a lot of roof. And I just think I know it seems to fit many other criteria, being 2.5 stories, etc. But if you look at the amount of roof there is, it's a vast roof size. And I think it's just totally out of kilter. That's a personal view.
Any other councillors? Councillor Decourt.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Got it. I think I'm all right now.
Yeah.
I was going to comment on the parking provision. I go along that road quite often at night in the evenings. I don't go along it during the day. There's a lot at night of parking at the bottom, understandably up from Station Road on both sides of the road. Obviously, I can't comment if everybody's able to park kind of near their property, but once you get about halfway up the road and up the hill and towards the top of the road, which is, to be fair, nearly 1/4 mile long, there seems to be a reasonable amount of parking space. So it's not like a road like Cowper Road, one I know, where there's a constant sort of battle for parking. I'm making that as an observation within everything else we take account of.
Any other councillors wish to raise a comment? I can't see any more hands.
I tried to do it. We're trying to unmute you. Come on.
Okay. In terms of the block of flats, Do we know how many flats are going to be in the property, and was planning permission given to the flats before requirement on the number of parking spaces?
The block of flats, from memory from doing my research, have actually got undercroft parking at the back of it. So they will be, so I don't know the absolute number, but there is no parking on the frontage of the flats. It's parking at the back with an undercroft access to get to them.
But we don't know, do we know whether there is sufficient parking spaces for a block of flats along there? Because if there isn't, people will end up parking on the road, won't they?
I would assume so, because the fact they've been given planning permission would say that there should be sufficient parking provision provided. The permission was granted in 2013.
2013?
13, yeah.
So that would have allowed the same criteria of parking spaces.
That we're currently working to, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Turnbull, I can see a hand.
Surely, if that permission was given in 2013, it will have expired by now.
No, as long as they've started commencement of the works, then that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, which they have.
They've cleared the site. Okay.
They've started to clear the site, yeah.
Any other councillors wish to raise a comment? I can't see any hands. In that case, I think, so I've heard some comments about street scene and concerns about that, and obviously the parking, we've already got a recommendation to express concern. Are we minded to add something about the street scene to an express concern? So it would be expressing concern about whether the parking was sufficient and whether the design was in keeping with the surrounding street scene. Would councillors be minded towards that kind of recommendation? Take a show of hands.
Oh, Councillor Turnbull, did you want to speak?
I was voting to concur with the motion.
Perfect. I think that was
unanimous then.
Okay, so expressing concern over the insufficient parking and the design not being in keeping with the street scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we'll move on to 5/2020-1112. 8 Medlows. Officer observations, Heather.
Okay, so 8 Medlows. This is a relatively modest extension to the side at ground floor level and also to the sides and the rear at first floor level. It's a very spacious plot to accommodate the proposals, no additional bedrooms, just an increase in size, ample parking, no tree works, consider no objection.
Perfect. Do councillors have any comments at all? I can't see any hands. In that case, are we minded to accept the recommendation of no objection? You get a show of hands.
Unanimous.
Perfect. In that case, moving on to 5/2020-1010. 23 The Deerings. Application does not meet the criteria for consideration by the committee. 5/2020-1110. 23 Oldwick Road. Heather, officer observations.
Okay, so I think we've got an image available for you to see the street scene for this, if Min wants to share that. So this is a substantial corner site with ample space to accommodate the side extension proposals. No extra bedrooms, just an increase in size. The bulk of the development is at ground floor level. It's a modernisation of an aged property. No loss of amenity to the neighbouring properties. There is a loss of the garage, however, 2 parking spaces are retained. Consider no objection.
Do any councillors want to make any comments about this one? I can't see any hands. In that case, are we minded towards accepting the recommendation of no objection?
Unanimous.
Perfect.
Okay.
In that case, we'll move on to 5/2020-1128, 49 Luton Road. This application does not meet the criteria. 5/2020-1180, 13 Fulmore Close, also doesn't meet the criteria. We've already taken Cold Harbour Lane. So 5/2020-1089, 22 Piggott's Hill, also doesn't meet the criteria. So we're on to 5/2020-1166 at 18 Wensley Close. Heather, officer observations.
Okay, so most of the proposal is at the ground floor level with a small infill extension to the first floor. The ground floor is to extend the side of the existing property element boundary with number 17 Wensley Close. The neighbour's property is a good distance away at this point, though. No additional bedrooms, just bathroom facilities. No tree work is proposed, and there's sufficient parking retained. Consider no objection.
Did any councillors want to make comments about this development? I can't see any hands again. So in that case, I'll ask if we're minded to accept the recommendation of no objection.
Was unanimous.
Unanimous. Perfect. In that case, I think I'm right in saying that the next one is 5/2020-1179, which is 37 Eastmoor Park. Officer observations, Heather.
Okay, so this proposal is for a relatively modest addition to the property, which is mainly at ground floor level. The two-storey front element falls in line with the neighbouring property's building line. No extra bedrooms, just an increase in the size. Garage and the parking is retained. Consider no objection.
Do any councillors have any comments on this one? No. In that case, I'll ask. Oh, sorry, Paul. Councillor Cousin.
It just the address or the road rings a bell to me. Did we have this road at the last meeting? Is it where the very uniformed houses? If it's not ringing a bell with anyone, then we can move on.
No, I don't think so, Paul.
Okay, fine.
There is a picture. Mim's got a picture.
Let's just have a quick look at the picture, then, maybe.
Yeah. Does that ring any bells?
So it's the middle one with the blue garage.
It is, yeah.
In that case, are we minded to?
Oh, someone, I think Pip is indicating.
Pip, Councillor yeah. Sorry. Councillor Lyman.
Be with you in a minute. I'm just want to. Sorry. Having a few problems.
Technology is a wonderful thing.
It really struggles. I think when we've got lots of people, it struggles to do the muting and unmuting.
Just when you unmute it, you click on it again by accident. It just doesn't want to.
It's not quick enough, is it?
No, I just can't get it to. Oh,
Okay, I've done it. It actually isn't worth the wait, really. No, there was a house along Eastmoor Park where it was all going to be glass at the back. That was, I think that's the one you're thinking of, Paul.
I think it
Sorry,
is.
that wasn't
Gilpin Green, wasn't it?
Pardon?
That was at Mim's meeting last time, which was Gilpin Green, I seem to recall.
Is that around by there? Round by Eastmoor Park?
No,
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Eastmoor Park is East Common and Gilpin Green sort of off of Station Road, off of Crabtree Lane, sorry. I think, Mim, I am right in saying, wasn't it, that it was the Gilpin Green one where it was glass at the back and then
Yeah.
it was like an upside down house.
That's
where they
Yeah.
didn't have-
House was, they were sort of in steps but going down.
Okay, well, I guess having seen the picture of the house now and looking, and it's difficult because if when we're all meeting together in the room, we've got all the plans and we look at the Google Street scene. My impression of Eastmoor Park, it is a fairly uniformed road in that they're all effectively semi-detached houses and everyone has got the garage and a gap between, I think. And I'm just looking at this part single, part two. It's quite unusual to have a 2-story front extension and a 2-story side extension, which, I don't know, you could argue if it builds in front of the garage, it could have a terracing effect. If everyone did that on that road, you'd feel it was a road of almost terraced houses, not semi-detached houses.
I don't know whether or not this helps. Just that, so you can see on that picture there where there's the shading, which shows where the actual extensions are going to be.
Okay,
You might need to-
relatively modest.
A bit higher.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Can you see on there where the shading
yeah,
is
okay,
going
fair
to be? So the sort of the 2-story extension at the front is essentially just kind of coming slightly further forward. It's not kind of what you would class as a true 2-story extension. It's kind of
Okay,
coming
fine.
over the overhang that's currently there.
I'm reassured.
Perfect. Are we minded towards no objection? We can take a show of hands.
That's unanimous.
Perfect. In that case, I'll move on to 5/2020/1181, 14 Netherfield Road. This application does not meet the criteria. 5/2020/1228, 5 Cranbourne Drive, also doesn't meet the criteria. 5/2020/1229, 33 The Cedars, Milton Road. Officer observations, Helen.
Okay, so this particular property borders the tree-lined boundary of the station car park. So we don't have any issues in terms of sort of kind of loss of amenity to that side. The proposal is for a relatively modest 2-story infill rear extension to the side, which borders the station boundary, so therefore reducing the impact on the neighbour. No additional bedrooms, just an increase in size. 2 fir trees are to be removed to facilitate the extension. Parking is retained in the existing allocated bays. Consider no objection.
Have they got tree replacements on there?
No, they haven't.
No. The trees previously were protected by TPOs. Are they different trees that were protected by TPOs, or do we know if it's the same trees?
Yeah, no. So these are not. No, these particular trees. They're no, they're not.
Did councillors have any comments? I can't see any. I mean, personally, I'd be minded to towards express concern because of the lack of tree replacements.
Yeah.
I don't know if councillors are minded to agree with that sentiment. I can see some nodding. So I'll put that to a vote about express concern. I can't remember which policy it is, the tree policy on the top of my head, but
Is it T? Is T? No, was it ESD?
ESD 14.
14. I wanted to say T14, but I knew that T was transport, so I knew that wasn't right.
Perfect. So we say express concern based on the lack of tree replacements in accordance with ESD 14 of the Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan. Are we all minded towards that? If we have a show of hands.
That's unanimous.
Perfect. And that, I think, is everything on item 6. In which case, I'll go on to the back to the agenda. Appeals. Did we have any appeals
No, none were received for this meeting.
Okay, perfect. Do we need to do anything on that item then, or do we just move on?
No, because there's nothing to consider. So no.
Cool. Perfect. I wasn't sure if we had to vote or something.
No.
Preservation order tree works. Did the committee have any comments on any of the preservation order tree works? No. In that case, we just note that one, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Conservation area tree works and technical applications. Did anyone notice anything in there that they wanted to raise? No, I can't see anyone. In that case, we just note that one as well. Then we've got the list of weekly district council decisions. I didn't notice anything in there that was particularly noteworthy. So unless anyone else did, we just note that one as well. And that brings us on to the date of the next meeting, which is Tuesday the 20. Oh no, that's today.
Tuesday
when-
the 14th of July.
Tuesday the 14th of July. I was looking at the wrong one on my calendar. And next district planning north is 27th of July. And that, I think, unless I've missed anything off the agenda, is all of our business for the evening. So we close at just before 8:30. I think it's about 29 past.
Yep. Okay.
Perfect. Well, lovely seeing everyone. And
Thanks,
see
Matt.
you
Well done.